decision makers, welfare grabbing baby makers, irresponsible are some of the few character deficiencies single parents are labeled according to society. It's not enough that single parents have to navigate through some unique barriers, such as how to properly co-parent, if the other parent is even in the picture, or find enough jobs so they can properly provide for their children, or not lose their minds in all the responsibility of parenting. It can be a lot. Okay, so I may not be a single parent, but I am the product of a single parent home. And trust me, from my close view of the situation, life was not always easy for my mother. If my mother didn't have a plan and a solid village, I would not be here in front of you in this same form. Many times, single parents do not have that village or the guidance or tools that they can use to help them to navigate through all that comes with doing this parenting by themselves. With that said, today my guest is Janine Walker of Janine Elizabeth Consulting. As a single parent solutionist, Janine has created strategies for single parents to help empower them in living their best life successfully, regardless of the negative associations that is attached to single parenting. She is on a mission to change the narrative, and I am in full support of her cause. Each week, I have had the privilege and honor of having some special guests with me to share their journeys and experiences, and today is no different. Today, I have a guest who is someone I've been admiring from afar as she boldly is changing the narrative of single parenting. Today, I have Janine Walker from Janine Elizabeth Consulting, the single parent solutionist. She's here with me today, and I am so excited to have her here. Welcome to My Vision is Clear Experiences, Janine.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
Oh, thank you. This is an honor because, as I've been saying, I've been admiring you and just really watching and encouraging your process. And I love what your cause is about. And so I want to just go back a little bit and talk about how this started. But before we do, I'm going to ask you a question that is on everyone's minds. What was the last thing you ordered on Amazon or online?
Ooh, the last thing I ordered on Amazon is what you see behind me, which is wallpaper. And I ordered some light bulbs. So that's not interesting, but hey, at least my wallpaper is interesting.
It is. It is. And I like the whole setup. I like the background. I'm loving it. Looks good.
Thank you.
So let's jump on in. Just tell us a little bit about Janine Elizabeth Consulting.
Well, we are a coaching, consulting. I'm an advocate for single parents. So it's both single mothers and single fathers, and really helping them navigate the journey of single parenthood. And that is, how to communicate effectively with the parent of your children, the other parent, and being able to work through conflict resolution. How do you parent as a single parent? What are the things that you focus on? And even just helping them re-establish their identity as a person. Because I think a lot of the times we really look at being a mother, or if it's a single father, being a father first, and we put ourselves last. So I want to help them just navigate this journey, the season that they're in. That was one of the things that I did not have when I started out as a single parent. I didn't have the how-tos, avoid these certain type of pitfalls. This is how you kind of navigate. And really, I'm just being that navigation tool, the person that goes on the journey with the single parents.
That's awesome. I think that is something that is definitely needed. What would you say was the reason, outside of the fact that it's your experience being a single parent, but there's a lot of single parents out there, right? And not everyone is doing what you're doing. So what is it that made you say, I'm going to do this to help change the narrative?
Well, I'll tell you, it's a place of frustration for me. It's an area that bothers me so much because what I hear and what I see society consider what a single parent is, and really more what a single mother is. And so when I went back to school to get my master's degree in counseling, I was reading a book, and I'll never forget. there's a statistic in there that said that children of single parents or single mothers were more likely to have bad grades, more likely to fail and not graduate, more likely to commit suicide, more likely to be criminals, pretty much is what it was saying. And when I read that, I was like, not me, and it's one of those things I could not get over. I hate the stigma. I hated the stereotype that a lot of people just automatically think about single parents and single mothers. And I realized that I have a voice. And so,
Yeah.
really, it started off just being that advocate, just making people aware that a single parent or a single mother is not one size fit all. We are not this type. There's so many different reasons why you become a single parent. But then, we're not less educated, we're not making less. Sometimes we do have some of those challenges, but we are just as equal to someone that is married that has kids. But as I began on that journey of just advocating, I felt like there was more of a need to empower this group,
Yeah.
and let them know, hey, you don't have to live based on a standard set by society. Like, we have been
Yes.
ingrained, we have been taught or are learned to be this way, to, when you're a single parent, this is the type of living, which is less than mediocre. And I
Right.
really, based on the life that I try to emulate and live, I wanted to help other single parents know that they can live a better life and they can
Yeah.
go through single parenthood and this journey and not have to live anything less than, what they want for themselves, and help
Yeah.
them awaken what they want for themselves.
And it's very good to have that, because as a child of a single parent,
Mm,
I have seen the struggles that my mother has gone through, and she did not allow the stigmas
mhm,
to tell her that she couldn't. She went and got her nurse's degree, and she took care of my sister and I, and really two other cousins. So it was like four kids, and she did that, and she worked and did what she had to do. And I mean, she had to work hard. There was some sacrifices that she had to make, obviously, but
mhm,
it never really crushed her. At least I didn't see it. Do you know what I
mm,
mean? I
yeah,
didn't see it. She made sure to show us different. Yes, it's hard work, and yes, we got to help out, in the house, but don't think because I'm the only parent that you can't have these advantages, that you can't
right,
do these things. And I find that not every household has that, not every household has that parent that feels that way about themselves. And I like how you said empowered, because I think that is what is needed, right? When you're dealing with still having to take care of the family and you're raising your kids and it's just you. And then, yeah, you want to do things yourself, but because of the responsibilities or the situations or the different barriers that might have taken place, you feel a little discouraged, right? So
mhm.
I feel like what you're doing is helping them to see that there's another way. Would that be correct?
That's right. Empowerment is giving them back their power, are helping to cultivate that potential that's inside of them. And that's what I want to do. And it is a mindset. It really is you making up in your mind that there is better for you, there is better for your children, there's better for your life. And I even, stretch single parents to think beyond their children. So, how are you going to build a legacy? How are you going to be remembered in this world? Because you have a voice and you have talent, you have potential, you have these dreams. And
Yeah.
so, even though it is a path that is difficult, it's doable. And I think single parents, just because we do it all, and I'm not saying that as a cliche, we really do. It
Yeah.
makes us the most resilient group of people, because we know how to manage, we know how to juggle, we know how to compartmentalize in a healthy way, right?
Yes. Yes.
And I think that even those skills, if we can call those soft skills, that's things that companies and corporations and businesses are looking for. So I think that
Absolutely.
single parents really have like those innate soft skills that are built in them because of where they are, to be
Yeah.
able to just translate that over into whatever it looks like. If it's wanting them to have their own business, whatever it is, but
Yeah.
it's just having that mindset and changing that perspective of, okay, these, it's hard and this is the things that I deal with, but wow, I'm resilient. I'm able to, handle all of these things,
Yeah.
and I can translate that over, use my power for good,
Hmm.
into going back to school like your mother did, to be a nurse,
Yeah. Yeah.
or being an advocate for my children in the educational system, teaching my children life skills and helping them
Yes.
understand and ingraining in them the importance of a family unit and marriage, and letting them
Hmm.
know that this is maybe not a path that they would want their children to go on. There's so many different things that we can do
Right.
with the tools that we already have in us, That's what I really want to help single parents
Yeah.
realize
Yeah.
started within them.
Yeah. I love that because we don't but sometimes all of us, we don't recognize the gifts, talents, the resiliency, the strength that we have. You just kind of move, you do what you have to do, and you don't really take a moment to say, I did that and I can do that. And this is why I did it. You know what I mean? And kind of congratulate yourself a little bit, because I know I've never seen my mother give herself flowers. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I always used to say to her, now that she's retired, I told her, I said, all I want you to do is just enjoy your retirement. Like just enjoy it to the fullest. And the thing is that she prepared for that because she knew, yes, like you said, once she finished raising her kids, she still had her life. And
Mhm.
so as she was raising us, she was doing her schooling and setting up her home and, all the things that she wanted to do towards retirement. And it's because she had a person or people around her to say and do the things that you're doing in your business, to say you can do this, you
Yeah.
got it, the support, the accountability. So I think that what you're doing is so awesome. Because it's just so needed. It's so needed because I see a lot of young single
Mhm.
mothers and fathers that that need guidance. So I think that this is awesome. Once you realize that this is something that you wanted to do, what was your process? How did you get started?
Well, like I mentioned earlier, I didn't have a clear picture of what it is that it would
Hmm.
look like the end result. I just knew that I had to take the first step. So the first step for me was awareness. Um,
Hmm.
I used to do Facebook Lives way back when they first started.
Oh,
And
wow.
I would just go on and I would just talk about, because it was personal to me because I was living in it. My children
Right.
were younger. So just talking about the struggles that I was experiencing, to find commonality and just make people aware. And then also talk about, just there's so much more for me. And then encouraging the person on the other side, there's so much more for you. And then also talking about the statistics, the stats,
Hmm.
what people are saying, how people have perceived me, some of my experiences. And so really that was just me bringing that awareness out. And I didn't know the path that I would go on.
Hmm.
When you're starting something, there's always that journey. You might have a seed form, and it's that
Hmm.
first step and the next step and the next step that you start to get clarity of
Right.
this is what it looks like. And so my children, I would say maybe around 2014, 2015, I got more serious about just bringing that awareness to single parents and to people in general. But
Hmm.
I'll tell you, this past year has brought me a lot of clarity. So I've always put information out, inspiration out. But
Hmm.
the clarity started to come because it was like, I want to impact this demographic more. How can I impact them more? And
Right.
I found that I care for people a lot.
Yep.
Like I'm going to be in the trenches with you. Like I'm going to sit there and cry with you. And I felt like if I can touch a single parent, if I can just reach out and just pull them up and
Yeah.
say, hey, this is the journey I've been on. I'm going to take you with me and show you how to do it. And so that's how things just started to kind of come together for me to say, I can, it's a business, but it's a ministry for me as well.
Hmm.
To be able to just have these groups, of single parents come in and let me coach them through their life, you know?
Yeah.
And so it because I took that first step and just kind of kept going and not really having the end result, seeing that, gold at the end of the rainbow. I don't know how you would want to say it.
Yeah.
It just started becoming clear to me as I just kept on walking and kept on going, you know?
Right. Yeah. And I think that's always I think it's easier. It's less stress.
Mhm.
I think what you did that I like that you mentioned was that you focus on a demographic. So sometimes that's hard to do when you have such a passion and a heart for people that you want to help everyone, right?
Mhm.
And probably in time that can happen, but you knew that at this time you had to like bring it in to one demographic and then kind of see where that flows. So that's a good tip because a lot of new business entrepreneurs like myself, need to hear your experience and your expertise when it comes to the process because there is a process, right?
Mhm.
Um, and so being clear about what you want to do and taking it little by little is very essential. So as a single mom, as an entrepreneur, I'm sure there's been some hurdles, some barriers that you had to endure. Share with us some of those barriers and how have you overcome them or are you still overcoming
Still overcoming for sure. And I won't give you the professional educational
them?
answer. I'm going to give it to you very transparent. The,
Yes.
the biggest battle is my mindset and believing that I have something of value to offer,
Yeah.
and that people really want to invest their time in order to glean from what I have, to offer as far as helping them. So that's been an ordeal. Starting a business is not an easy feat. And just the building of it and being consistent. And even when you don't get the response that you're expecting, the removing the weight of other people's opinions and thoughts of you, people that are family members or whoever it is that will
Yeah.
say passive aggressive comments. Like I've
Oh,
experienced that all, and I
love
hold
those.
that as a weight, right? I hold it as a weight, and so me going through the process of just releasing that and saying, you know what, even if it's just one single parent that I change, help their lives change,
Yeah.
then I'm being effective. And that has been kind of my mantra um,
Mm.
as I'm building and as I kind of, put myself out there. I'm an introverted person. You probably can't tell, but
Give me a high five. Me too. I'm
yeah,
an introvert.
right. I'm introverted and I'm comfortable within myself and within my thoughts. Like that's a
Yeah.
place of comfort for me. And so to put myself out there to be able to talk and just let people see my personality and who I am and that I love, that I'm got a big heart. In the wider scheme of things, is difficult, but
Yeah.
it's a necessary challenge, Um, if we're going to build business and if we're going to establish something, a business, we have to put ourselves out there. So
Yeah.
it's again, it's mindset. And then as a single parent, my kids are teenagers. However, the time, I still have my 9 to 5 and I still have
Mm.
to manage, you
Yeah.
know, working all the things that go on with managing a household and then
Yeah.
making sure that I am consistently putting time in to develop my business and putting myself out there, whether it's social media, whether it's networking, and then having time for myself. So there's no such thing as time management. I think that that's kind of a fallacy, you could say.
Okay, do
I
tell.
really
Do
believe
tell.
that. Well, because we can't manage time, right? How do you manage time? You have it. You have a certain number of hours in a day. You can't
Mhm.
hold on to those hours. It's not like you can save it in a bank. Once those 24 hours are gone, it's gone forever. So how do
Mhm.
you manage that? But I think that we would have to instead just making sure that we schedule activities in a proper manner, and really breaking our days down in order to make sure that everything is taken care of and prioritizing our list, right? And it
Yes.
sounds so good. I still struggle in this area. but
Mhm.
I really try to maintain a routine and a certain structure. And that's one of the most important things that I needed for just the stability of my household is to have a structure.
Yeah.
So adding a business on and everything that goes along with it, if I'm not intentional about how I'm allowing myself to be productive in the time that is allowed, then all of it can start to be overwhelming, or
Yeah.
I might miss out on moments with my kids. Like my daughter, her love language is quality time.
Oh yeah.
And we have movie night every Friday night.
Oh
And
yeah.
when I was in the trenches, building, working, Friday nights weren't happening the way that they should have. And
Yeah.
she's very vocal and she calls me out. And I'm like, okay, let me put my computer down. It can wait. Let's have this quality time. And so
Yeah.
I'm noticing even now, she's even more like on me, loving on me because she's missing that quality time.
Yeah.
So that's kind of been the struggle, just kind of organizing my activities and prioritizing them on a day to day basis to make sure that I'm getting the most out of my day. And also, I'm taking care of not only myself, but my kids, and the house.
Yeah. That's a lot. That's a lot on your plate. And so the fact that you have to be structured, you have to write it all down. It all has to make sense. It all has to flow together for your life and everything in it to operate. And so I asked the question of when you were initially, or maybe even during the process of um, doing your business, did you include your core values? Because I find that sometimes we forget those
Mhm.
values when we're creating, because we have these ideas, we want to create business, we want to do this, that, and the next. And sometimes those things could, I guess, you could mess up the values that we set because
Mhm.
it's new, and sometimes we'll like give it a little room and just allow it to take over. But I find that once we identified what the core values are, and not just our core values, but the core values as a family,
Right.
then it's a lot easier to incorporate that in your vision, in their plan. Was that something that you considered or are considering?
Well, it's a consideration. And for me, let's just say I'm reverse engineering.
Okay. That's fine.
So,
That's good.
I've walked through and I'm like, wait a minute, let me go back. Because when you talk about core values, you're talking about, I feel like you talk about personal brand. So how do I want to be perceived? And
Mm-hmm.
then really dialing it back even further, like you mentioned, the core values for my family.
Yeah.
And so, it's out of order that I started with my business and really started dialing in on the core values and me personally. But I'm learning these things. And now it's like, oh, this is so good. Let me bring my kids in and let's talk about what's the core values for our family. Now that I'm learning, I can kind of talk to them and kind of prep them, and we can come up with that. Now we come up with, house rules when we're young, when they were young, writing down those house rules, but talking to them about core values and even our family mission statement, I think is so
Mm,
key
I love that.
because that's going to help us create healthy boundaries. That's going to allow us to be able to say yes to the right things, no to the wrong things,
Yes.
and really just be more of a stronger bond as far as our family. That helps my kids, even as I'm thinking about it, having a stronger sense of identity and boosting
Mm,
their self esteem to know, okay, these are my core values. And this is my mission statement, our family mission statement. I think that we've
I,
always had them, but actually putting them down on paper and having that discussion, that's
yeah.
something that I've thought of, I have yet to do, because I think when you talk about core values, it's always that business, business, business core values.
Yeah.
But I think it really is important, like you mentioned, to have it for your family. So that's what we're going to be working on.
I love that. Now, I'm very intrigued by this mission statement. Like, how did you come up with that with your family? What was the process for that?
Well, see, that's one of the things that I want to work on. And I can't
Okay.
have the credit or take the credit for that. I have a mentor, and, she talks about a lot of these things and she stretches the way that I think. So
Okay.
she introduced to me, the importance of having that mission statement for your family.
Yeah.
Because again, that's just something that that helps you, with your identity, right?
Absolutely.
Um, and when you talk about personal branding, and again, that's something that my mentor has kind of talked about, understanding how I want to be perceived, understanding my kids having an understanding of how they want to be perceived, and
Mhm.
be perceived, church or their friendship interactions, and just making sure that we um, truly know who we are. And I
Yeah.
think because they're teenagers now, one's a preteen, that they're at that mature level where we can have these conversations.
Right. Right. Yes, I think it's awesome that you even have a mentor, which is so important because I think that's something we forget to consider. You know, we want to go all in, excuse me, with the little bit of knowledge that we know, what we've read and what we've researched,
Mhm.
but we forget that we need a mentor. You need that person that's going to help guide you, that's going to keep you accountable, that's going to say no, yes, you know. And so I think that's so awesome that you mentioned having a mentor because that is key, no matter, especially in business and then everything else you got going on, you need somebody to kind of like just help you and support you in that. So that is awesome. So Janine, what is a visual tool that you are currently using or are considering using as you're continuing to work on your business, incorporate your family, kind of get your life, in order? Is there one that you use in particular or one that you are considering?
So I don't use a traditional vision board. I
Okay.
actually write my vision down. So I have a notebook and I have it here, but it's not, anything. It's just a regular notebook.
I
And you
love it.
can tell I've written a lot, right?
Yes.
So I really break my vision down into different areas. So there's 12 different areas that I write a vision for my life. And I
Mhm.
really try to envision as far ahead that I can. But the one thing that I do, I don't just write it down in the book. I want to make it like a scrapbook. So I want to insert pictures in there, and the pictures are right next to the words that I write. And I'll visit this, throughout the year,
Okay.
to see, if there's anything that I need to adjust. Is there anything I need to check off, And from writing the vision, of course, I'm getting those goals. Right now, I work more on goals for my business than I do for the household, and I look at my financial goals as well. Those are like key things for me.
Yeah.
Um, but definitely, I use the notebook, and I'm going to put some pictures in there and just maybe draw. And I think I'm a visual but writer as
Okay.
well. Like they both work for me. There's
Yeah.
something that is just so soothing about writing something out and just allows me,
Yes.
just even if it's a brain dump, just to put
Yeah.
it down on paper and then kind of highlight and circle things that are key, for me for the areas that I want to write a vision for.
Yes, I love that, and I am a firm believer in writing your vision and making it plain,
Right,
because that is what the good book says, and
right.
it's a fact. I as you know, I am a person who likes vision boards, but I don't believe that you should just put things on a board and let it sit there and be pretty. You have to be able to write it down and then have your plan that goes with it, right? And then have your accountability people to kind of hold you accountable while you're on this
Mhm.
journey. And that is needed in a business, because
Mhm.
we go through these ups and these downs. And as a single parent, when you have your own stressors that's coming in, and then you add in the business,
Right.
how are you managing that? How are you handling that on an emotional, personal level?
Well, I'm a God's girl,
Yes.
100%. And that was honestly the only thing, me kind of drawing close to God, that really allowed me to get through the divorce.
Mm,
And so I know how to lean in. And when I'm feeling like the other day, I was feeling very overwhelmed. I started beating myself up, in my thoughts, and I felt like I was striving in everything that I was doing. So that was a sign, when I feel like I'm driving, that's a sign where I need to stop,
Yeah.
quiet myself down. And whether it's praying, whether it's worship music, just sitting still and listening and kind of washing out the bad and
Yes.
welcoming the good, that was a process that I went through. The
Mm.
other thing that is super important, and I believe it's important for everybody, but especially so for single parents, is to have not only a community of people, but a village.
Mm.
And the community is the people that, you have commonalities, you can go out, hang out, talk. But your village is that intimate group of people, more like an inner circle that you can trust with your kids, that they can tell you what's up, they can be strictly honest with you, that you can cry on the phone to,
Yeah.
whatever, and they don't think anything less of you. So it's so important for me to have that village, and I have, key people that I know that I can go to when my mind is messed up, when I'm too hard on myself and just
Yeah.
ugly as I want to be, in the moment.
Yes.
And then having them kind of snap me back together. Um, because it's not easy. Single parent life is not easy. We know that. But
Yes.
having a business and being an entrepreneur,
Yeah.
where most businesses, fail after 4 years as far as entrepreneurship, they start and trying to, build something solid and you're building by yourself, you have
Yes.
to have those people that kind of are helping you have clarity of mind, because
Yeah.
you can get so wrapped up that, you start seeing numbers jumping off papers, you know what I mean? Because you're just so
Yes.
wrapped up in everything that's going on. And you
Absolutely.
always need to have that outside perspective of
Yeah.
somebody to come in. And so I have that village of people that I can trust that's known me for years, that says, Janine, you're so crazy, and just uplift me. It's so necessary.
Yeah. I love that. I love this. I could talk to you all night, but I know we have to wrap this up.
Yes.
I just really loved that you shared your experience and your expertise, and that you are showing single parenthood. You're giving it a new look. You're just letting us know that we can still do what we are called to do, what we dream to do. And we
Hmm.
just have to make sure that we follow God's plan and that we go according to do the steps that are necessary in order to make your business happen, be a great parent, just be a overall good person. And so I love that you're doing this. I love it.
Thank
Um,
you.
what is what is some advice that you would give a single parent who wants to get into business? What is something that you wish you were told that you would tell somebody who wants to do what you're doing?
I say planning is everything, counting the cost, and really doing your research. So, depending on what they want to do, making sure that they do the research, and counting the cost is not necessarily financial, but
Mm.
counting the cost as far as time invested.
Yeah.
So that would be the one thing that I would say. And then I would just tell them that it's okay to build at your own pace. Don't compare yourself to anybody else. You're
Yes.
competing with yourself only. You're outdoing yourself. You're outdoing the work that you did the day before. So each
Mm.
day you're kind of growing and doing better. So you're trying to outperform your yesterday. That's what I
I
want to
love
say.
that.
And so that's what I would tell them. And then also just making sure that they set a good structure, time block their day, their week, their month,
Mm.
as they're building a business. Don't get so overwhelmed in building that you not take care of yourself, not take care of your family. It is possible. Your kids do not have to be old and out of the house for you to dream again, for you to live
Yes.
again, for you to do whatever it is that was in your heart. You do not have to wait. You can do that now. And that's probably the biggest thing that I want single parents to know is that they don't have to put any of their dreams aside because they have kids and they're raising them on their own. You can do both, and you can do both and be successful at both.
I love it. I love it. Janine, tell us where we can find you because I know people want to keep in touch with you.
Yes, yes. So social media, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook is at Janine Elizabeth. And so if you go there, especially on my Instagram page, I do have a link there that you click on, and I have resources. There's some free resources there. I have a Facebook group, Single Parents Strong. So if there's any single parents out there that want to be a part of a community of like mind where we encourage each other, I'm a teacher, so I kind of drop some nuggets in there once in a while. They can join that group as well. But, reach out to me. And, if you want to send me a message, it's info@janineelizabeth.com. You can email me there or send me a message on my social media handles, platforms, and I'll respond back to you there.
I love that. Thank you so much. I encourage everyone to do everything and be a part of and support everything Janine Elizabeth. You will not be disappointed.
Yes.
I promise. Thank you for joining me today on My Vision is Clear Experiences. Janine, it was really a pleasure having you. I really enjoyed you. And I hope that we can do this again soon because this was really good.
I loved it. I could talk like this all day. I need adult interaction. So this is amazing to me. So thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Now, friends, remember to like, share, subscribe, and send this episode to everyone you know. Until the next time, this is My Vision's Clear Experiences. Take care.